Welcome to Horse of the West. This week, hashtags and Western bloodstock world's greatest horseman. 4 events in a single day before a sellout crowd in Fort Worth's main Coliseum. It's gonna be crazy.
The 100,000 up for grabs.
Yeah, I can't imagine how loud it's gonna be.
And earning that money may be harder than ever.
This is the toughest set of horses I've seen since I started showing in the World's Greatest Horseman finals.
We'll have the highlights. Also coming up, meet NCHA Hall of Fame stallion Metallic Rebel, 2017 Open Horse of the Year and top 2021 freshman sire.
Coming up on Your Horse Inside and Out, sponsored by Behringer Ingelheim, we're going to talk about full heat diarrhea.
That's all in this episode of Horse of the West. Welcome to Fort Worth, Texas. This is the Cal Power Quarter Horses Celebration of Champions, a 10-day event where the NRCHA crowns world and national champions, culminating with the finals of World's Greatest Horseman. 15 riders compete in 4 events on a single day on a single mount with a single bit.
You know, this is the epitome of horsemanship. I mean, how to manage one through 4 events in one day. I mean, get it on.
It's an iron horse competition.
They're not just cutting horses or roping horses. I mean, they got to do all 4 events at a real high level, you know. So if you get one like that, they're hard to find, but when you do, it's a lot of fun showing them, and it's a lot of fun if you get to win.
The popularity of World's Greatest Horseman has earned it a move to the main Coliseum here in Fort Worth. Despite all that additional seating, it is a sellout. And there's not just a crowd of spectators, but a herd of great horses and riders, all chasing a total finals purse well above $300,000. But as important as the purse, and maybe even more so, is the title.
I'm not going to quit horse training until I win World's Greatest, and yeah, it's a big deal. It's really tough to make the finals. A lot of great horses. I mean, almost every horse in the finals won over 100,000 except for mine. You know, there's a lot of great horses out there.
So let's go ahead and meet them. Here's the mare that won it all last year under Shane Steffen. This is our defending champion, who sets the pace early with the 3rd highest score in the herd work at 221. 10-year-old Gonna Be a Smarty is by Smart Remedy out of Gonna Be Mine and is owned by Can Do Ranch. They have the top score in the steer stopping, earning a 224, which will put them in first after 2. Shane says this mare is an absolute mind reader.
The biggest thing that I have to do is just make sure that I'm in the moment, not a stride ahead, because she reacts to what I think now. So if I think of something like the maneuver ahead of time, then she's already thinking about that maneuver.
Then in the rein work, Shane and Gonna Be a Smarty finished first again with a big 226 to hold on to the lead heading into the final event, down the fence.
She just is so explosive in everything that she does. I mean, she's just fluid and smooth, and she just has this grace and feel about her that is like no other.
Another pair who need little introduction to World's Greatest fans, NRCHA $1 million rider Zane Davis of Blackfoot, Idaho, and the 12-year-old stallion Ruby's Radar by one-time Pepto out of Ruby Begonia, owned by C Ranches. They finished 5th in the herd work with a 219.5. They followed that up with a 218 in the roping, a judged event here rather than a timed event. These two have been to this final multiple times and have finished as high as 2nd, but for the championship, it's now or never.
This is Ruby's Radar's last show. His owner, who we lost in, I think it was October, she always planned for this to be his last show. He's very sound, and we've picked his shows carefully over the years so he stayed sound and mentally happy and physically well.
While Radar may be happy showing, Zane is not. And after this year, Zane intends to do more of what he loves best, which is starting young horses, and less of what he does not love, which is competing.
And I finally just got so old, I said, I don't need to torture myself anymore. I've competed since I was 3 years old and something, and I just decided, as old as I am, I didn't have to do that anymore.
Zane would very much like to win this championship for Radar and for himself.
Been every place, I think, in the top 10 but first, and so it'd be good to finally get one.
Zane Davis and Ruby's Radar earned a 224 from the judges in the reining, sitting 4th in striking distance with just the fence work yet to go. Now here's another rider looking for his first World's Greatest title, NRCHA $1 million rider Philip Rawls, who's come agonizingly close, finishing 2nd multiple times, once on this stallion. Call Me Mitch, a 2011 model by Metallic Cat out of Miss Hickory Hill.
Herd work started off really good. Marked a 221. First cow was good. Second cow was pretty spicy in some spots. You know, we had to fight our way out of there. But you know, at this level, you're going to have to take some chances.
Add in a 222 in the roping, and Philip is looking good going into the reining. Says this is the championship he most wants to win, and he would love to do it on Mitch.
You know, he's been a special horse my whole career, all the way up through the fraternities and derbies, and now into the bridle. He's strong and fit and feeling really good and feels as good as ever. So, yeah, it's going to be a great night.
A strong 224 in the reining puts Philip and Mitch in third going into the fence work. But his good friend and nemesis, two-time world's greatest horseman champion Corey Cushing of Scottsdale, Arizona, gets a great start as well on a horse he rode to the 2018 NRCHA Snafflebit Fraternity Finals, Lynn Wertzer's Hot Rod by Hottish out of Sugar's Smart Kitty. Corey and this 7-year-old stallion finished second in the herd with a 224.
That horse has been something special ever since I got him. You know, if anyone knows me, they know Hot Rod. I could go on about him forever, but I'm just going to say how great he was today, and looking forward to see how the rest of the day plays out.
It plays out very well. Corey loses a little ground with the 218 in his steer stopping, but he and Hot Rod come barreling back in the rein work to tie Shane Steffen and Gonna Be a Smarty for the highest reigning score of the final. That puts them in second, 3 points ahead of Philip, 3 points behind Shane, going into the fourth and final event. The highest score in the herd work comes from Hall of Fame cutter, NRCHA $1 Million rider, and former world's greatest champion, Boyd Rice of Weatherford, Texas. He's on Burnett Ranch's Quahati by Bet He's a Cat out of Gin and Attraction. The two had to go dead last, seldom a plus in cutting, but Boyd and this 9-year-old stallion make it look easy.
I had 3 good cows left that I thought would be good, and I got them cut clean, and they stayed right in the middle. And as usual, Quahati, he was dead on. He just moves his front end real good, and you know, his hind legs are wide, and just everything's good. He just you know, he loves it. He likes to get out there and get it on.
Unfortunately, Boyd and Quahati run into trouble in the roping, which puts them out of the running for the championship this year. Coming up, 2 more former champions to go, and 2 riders in this final for the very first time. Plus, Dr. Joe Carter joins us for Your Horse Inside and Out, sponsored by Beringer Ingelheim. Horse of the West coverage of hashtags and Western Bloodstock World's Greatest Horseman is generously sponsored by NCHA Hall of Fame stallion Metallic Rebel. We'll learn more about the NCHA's top freshman sire for 2021 just a little bit later, so don't write off. Welcome back to Horse of the West and the hashtags Western Bloodstock World's Greatest Horseman Championship. 15 horse and rider pairs have made the final with its $100,000 first prize. There are 5 world's greatest title holders here, 2 of them sitting right at the top of the scoreboard. Our defending champions Shane Steffen and Gonna Be a Smarty are in first by 3 points over Corey Cushing and Hot Rod. In third, Philip Rawls and Call Me Mitch, and in fourth, Zane Davis and Ruby's Radar. Philip and Zane are both still hunting their first world's greatest buckle. Clayton Edsel of Mineral Wells, Texas earned the title in 2016, and he's back now in the finals on a 9-year-old mare that has won big for him. He marks a 217 in the herd work on Beverly Survey's Metallic Train by Metallic Cat out of Sparking Train, and then makes up some ground with a 222.5 in the steer stopping.
I got her the end of her 4-year-old year, won the stakes, just had quite a bit of success all along. Then she went on, I think she won the Hackamore here in the world, and won the 2-rein here as well, and so been an outstanding horse for sure.
Clayton Edsel and Metallic Train end up finishing 10th and earn a check for $8,750. Nick Dowers of Dyer, Nevada marks a 222.5 in the rein work on Still Get Jealous by One Time Pepto out of Arc Cat Her Please, owned by Trigg Marquis. Nick says this 8-year-old stallion had a slow start due to injuries, both Nick's and the horses.
When he was 6, his 2-rein years, where he really got to finally put in his time, and he was the world champion at that, and he did really good. So he's really fun. He hasn't been shown a lot, but he's a good horse for sure.
Nick Dowers and Still Get Jealous will finish 9th and earn $9,000. Kelby Phillips is a former champion who's riding an 8-year-old mare named Bet She's a Fancy Cat by Bet He's a Cat out of Real Hickory Smoke. He did not plan to ride her here. She was purchased as a non-pro horse for TV producer Taylor Sheridan.
We bought her back in August from Jared Jones. Jared's had some success on her, and bought her for Taylor, actually for him to use in the non-pro. And my older horse got a little bit sore, so started trying to get her ready, and she's been awesome. Jared done an awesome job on her, and happy to show her.
Kelby and Bet She's a Fancy Cat finished tied for 7th and take home a check for $11,000. Here's the man he ties with, Brad Barkmeyer of Scottsdale, Arizona, riding a 7-year-old gelding, CR Tough Taffy by Woody B. Tough out of Pepto Candy for owners Vaqueros Venture. After a 2:17 in the herd work, Brad and Tough tie for the 3rd highest score in the roping with a 2:22. When all is said and done, Brad ends up tied with Kelby and takes home his own check for $11,000 on his 3rd try at World's Greatest Horseman and his very first final.
First time was in 2009, and I realized then that it takes a really, really special horse. So that's why it took me so long to get back here. Last year was my first year back since then entering, and had a really nice horse and was close to making the finals but didn't quite get there. So it was really special to make it this time.
NRCHA $1 million rider Justin Wright of Santa Maria, California has won most all the NRCHA titles out there except this one. Justin earned solid scores across the board on NRCHA Stakes and Derby champion 7-year-old Scooter Cat by Kit Kat Sugar out of Scooter's Daisy Dukes, owned by Eric Freitas, and finishes 6th, earning $14,000. Brady Weaver of Enterprise, Utah is another first-timer in the final after 3 tries on this 10-year-old mare, Gary Ewell's SJR Ray Gun by Dual Ray out of Playgun's King Badger.
How does it feel to be here for your first time?
Good. Not too nervous or anything. Got a good horse, and we've been in the situation, so wasn't too nervous. The crowd bothered her in there, and I kind of knew it would, but I wish we could have got her shown a little better in raining.
But a 2:21 down the fence ends up earning Brady Weaver a 5th place finish on SJR Ray Gun in his very first World's Greatest Final, plus a check for $16,000. We still have another $210,000 up for grabs in the top 4 places. We'll crown the 2022 champion of World's Greatest Horseman coming up. Horse of the West coverage of hashtags and Western Bloodstock World's Greatest Horseman is generously sponsored by NCHA Hall of Fame stallion Metallic Rebel. We'll learn more about the NCHA's top freshman sire for 2021 a little later.
Your Horse Inside and Out with Dr. Joe Carter is sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim.
Full heat diarrhea is one of those common problems that foals have. This foal is a 9-day-old foal, and so it's normal for a foal to develop diarrhea at this age and for it to last a day or two. Full heat diarrhea comes during what's called the foal heat, which is 9 days after a mare has its baby. They'll come into their first heat cycle, which will set them up for rebreeding. Remember, horses carry for 11 months and 5 days plus or minus, so they need to have a foal every year about the same time. They need to breed back rather quickly. They have the 9-day and the 30-day heat cycle. But it's at the 9-day heat cycle that we typically see this diarrhea, and it's just a physiologic diarrhea just due to the growth and adaptation of the foal's digestive tract and due to changes that the mare is going through as she's coming into her first heat. It just produces this semi-formed stool. It can be really watery, it can be kind of cow patty at different times. There's really not too much to do for it. The foals, it's self-limiting. They get over it on their own unless they had some other secondary issue going on. They just recover from it. You can, give them any of the typical anti-diarrhea medicines if you want to try and help them out a little bit. Your biosponges, your kaopectate, Pepto-Bismol, corrective mixture, any of those kind of things, and then cleaning the rear end of the foal and keep the diarrhea from scalding and irritating their hind legs and down their legs and causing for hair loss. But foal heat diarrhea is a normal thing that we see in foals, and if you have any questions, contact your local veterinarian. I'm Dr. Joe Carter with Your Horse Inside and Out.
Your Horse Inside and Out is sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim. Before making any decisions about your horse's health, be sure to contact your veterinarian.
Welcome back to Horse of the West. Our coverage of the 2022 World's Greatest Horseman Championship is sponsored by NCHA 2021 Top Freshman Sire, Metallic Rebel.
My name is Debbie Roberts. I'm the marketing director for Metallic Rebel. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about Tom Gwen and his stallion, Metallic Rebel. Metallic Rebel actually came from a program that Foltz Ranch had developed. They were the proud owners at the time of a stallion called Metallic Cat. His dam was a dam called Sweet Abra, who was nothing but just kind of hopes and dreams. And so Tom really didn't know what he had yet at this point. And so it was really kind of exciting moving forward. He headed to the NCHA Futurity. A lot of luck there. He actually made it all the way to the semifinals in the Open under the guidance of Bo Gallion. Now we follow up in January. He ended up in Abilene, made the finals, ended up in February at the Arbuckle Derby and his first championship. And it was really apparent at that time that Rebel was really starting to come on into his own. We kind of finished up the 4-year-old year in August at the West Texas Futurity. This horse hit a whole new level. He was electric, the way his readability on a cow. I mean, it was like he could not miss. I knew at that point, Tom really had something special. Moving on to Rebel's 5-year-old year. It was an amazing year for him. He had just been getting stronger and stronger, so we were so excited to see this happen. 4 different times he scored a 230 or higher. 9 different times it was a 225 or higher. Championships, reserve championships. He ended up at the end of his year at the World Finals at the NCHA. Was awarded from NCHA the Open Horse of the Year. While he was competing his 5-year-old year, he did also stand at stud to a full book.
I think the biggest standout would be his mind. I think that puts him above a lot of horses. He's a bigger horse than a lot of horses standing today, and I think that that's what the industry's been missing over the years, is a bigger, stronger horse. You take notice of him when he comes out and he stands up. He's got a presence about him, and not all stallions have that.
Rebel ended up finishing up his first full crops 3-year-old year, being given the title of Freshman Sire of the Year. We've had multiple championships again, reserve championships, multiple finals, an event that just happened here a couple weeks ago, and that was the NCHA Super Stakes. We ended up with 2 Metallic Rebels that advanced to the Open Finals, Ray Bell's Cause and Third Edge. Ray Bell's Cause is ridden by Bo Gallion and owned by Jackpot Ranch. Third Edge is ridden by Wes Gallion and owned by SMF Cutting Horses. To the best of my knowledge, at a major aged event, this is the first time one sire has had co-champions. We then move on to the NRCHA Stakes, which was a parallel event happening in Las Vegas. We tallied up all the money between these 2 events I just spoke of. Metallic Rebel is now a $1 million sire. Everything that he is passing on, I think he's just stamping his best traits from his sire and his dam.
You know, they've got big stops, lots of cow, and seem very trainable. The sky's the limit for him. And I think that he's got a big future in this industry and other industries as well.
When we come back, the conclusion of the 2022 Hashtags and Western Bloodstock World's Greatest Horseman Championship. Welcome back to Horse of the West and our coverage of Hashtags and Western Bloodstock World's Greatest Horseman. Sitting first are 2021 champions Shane Steffen and the mare Gonna Be a Smarty by Smart Remedy, owned by Can Do Ranch. And they can do it again if they can stay on top through the fence work. Shane says this mare is unlike any fence horse he has ever ridden.
I can pretty much think where I want to be on that cow and look there, and she just rolls in there. And she just has so much grit and try.
But Shane and Gonna Be a Smarty come out of the arena with a 205 and drop down the board to finish 4th. On the upside, they take home $25,000. Now, after taking a year or so off to breed mares, former reserve champion Call Me Mitch by Metallic Cat is back, and trainer Philip Rawls says the 11-year-old stallion really didn't take that much work to get back into competition shape.
That horse's heart is so pure, and he's so honest. He always gives me 100%.
Mitch may be nearing the end of his competitive career to focus exclusively on breeding, which is another reason Philip would like to win his first World's Greatest Horseman title here tonight. He and Mitch have a beautiful fence run and earn a 224 from the judges. Zane Davis and Sea Ranch's Roan Stallion Ruby's Radar by One Time Pepto also have added incentive tonight. This will be Radar's last show and possibly the finale here for Zane, who wants to spend more time training and less time competing. They'll have to have a huge score of 228, though, to take the lead from Philip Rawls, and it does not happen. But Zane says the 11-year-old stallion showed what has made him such a solid contender here year after year.
You know, we just didn't have what we needed to finish as high as we wanted to today. But I don't know that he made a mistake the whole night.
Ruby's Radar adds $35,000 to his lifetime earnings. Two-time champion Corey Cushing and Lynn Wertzer's Hot Rod were up 3 points over Philip and Call Me Mitch coming into the fence work, so they can win it with a 221.5 or better. Corey is determined to wait patiently for the run to develop and not rush things.
But I wasn't going to do dumb stuff that my friends tell me that I do sometimes, okay? So anyway, hanging in there, and you know, I seen it come out, had a lot of feel, felt really, really good on the back fence, and I just wanted to keep creeping to it so I could come around there in good position. And
Corey and the 7-year-old stallion by Hottish find that sweet spot and earn from the judges a 225 to win his third World's Greatest Horseman Championship title.
That horse is so incredible. He means so much to me. A lot of people don't understand what these horses go through, and you know, the challenges that they have to take on, and the physical ability and strength. And from the moment I stepped on that horse, I said I'm going to have him at the world's greatest one day. So
Corey Cushing, Lynn Wertzer, and Hot Rod take home a check for $100,000. Philip Rawls and Call Me Mitch earned their second World's Greatest Reserve Championship and a check for $50,000. In the weeks ahead, tune in for coverage of NRCHA World's Greatest Youth Horseman. I'm Jennifer Reynolds. We'll see you next time on Horse of the West.